I'm waiting. Well, we can get started. Devon, you want to tell people who you are?
Yeah, of course. Careful what you wish for, but again, my name is Devon Beach. I am the senior engineer with the engineering construction department with the Port of San Diego. I'm fairly new to the port. I've been with them just literally over 3 years. My 3 years was in April. And prior to coming on board with the port, I've spent 15 years in the consulting world as a project engineer in the port, marina development, and coastal engineering with projects mainly in California, Canada, Hawaii, and Guam. I have 13 and a half years of experience with AutoCAD and started out using Land Desktop. The software has definitely come a very long way since those days. Yeah. All right, I think people are in. So yeah, I haven't used the software in your typical civil engineering aspect, mainly with port development and coastal engineering. I mainly used Land Desktop and Civil 3D to calculate very large land reclamation projects up to 1,000,000 yards of cubic yards of fill. Use Civil 3D to calculate complex rock dike quantities and upland and in-water fill sites. And I've used it pretty heavily for vehicle SWEP analysis with various port vehicles and developing how ports are laid out and whatnot. And Victor, I've had the pleasure of working with for the last 12 years. And I don't know if you guys all know him or not, but Victor, it's all you.
Oh, me. Okay. I'm like Devon's evil twin. He's the good guy. I'm the troublemaker. But I've been in this industry for over 25 years. Got a couple years on him. I started off actually doing microstation work for a small company that did water transmission, sewer, storm drain, gravity lines, and some pressure pipes, but that was way back in some intergraph workstation and microstation 3 and 3.5, or is it 3.2? I don't know. And from there, moving around, career, job to job, I landed with Moffitt and Nickel, working with Devon, and from there, he said 12 years of just pushing the envelope, trying to see what we can do to make the software work better for us. And then moving from there, I came to the port, and April, I will be 3 years come the 17th of this month. So 17 is when I started at the port. And working here at the port, we've had the unique opportunity to advance our program, just taking things to the ultimate. If there's a concept or thought or an idea out there that can be done, we've just tried to do it. So some successful, some not so successful, but it's all learning lessons. And that's me.
Oh, cool. Yeah, a little bit about the Port of San Diego. If you guys can see my screen, Mexico's here, and this is San Diego Bay, and that's what we oversee. The Port of San Diego was established in 1962 by a California state legislator and is comprised of 5 member cities that surround San Diego Bay. And we're basically tasked with managing the 34 square miles of the natural waterfront that around the bay. It's definitely a dynamic waterfront. We're made up of several cargo terminals, cruise ship terminals, hotels, restaurants, marinas, museums, and we have just over 22 public parks that we manage. And this kind of zooming in. And so I'll just give you a brief little where our utilities are. I cut it down, not showing all the utilities just so the program doesn't crash and whatnot. So this is one of our little shelter islands that this is our kind of pilot project, so to speak. And coming from past experience and previous projects, I know coming in design and and stakeholders just really don't think of utilities that much. And typically, here's kind of another port that's not us that I worked on in the past. And it's kind of like the utilities are shown here. And these are electrical lines. It's just shown as a single line. Fortunately, we learned this the hard way. This was, this area was getting redeveloped, and these were all as-built drawings and whatnot. And so I started asking, some electrical engineers some questions like, what is in these lines? And come to find out, this is a typical cross-section of one of those lines. And these things get pretty big. And this one here is represented as a single line. Actually consists of over 24 different PVC conduits that range from 2 to 8 inches. And typically, I know in the past that electrical lines aren't usually profiled, because they just say, oh, just dig it 3 feet underground and call it a day. Well, this project, we had to profile it. And you kind of see just the magnitude of these duct banks that these many port districts are dealing with. These are 12 kV lines, they're fiber optic and whatnot. And in construction, that single line, this is what it looks like when it's in construction. And you may not think it's a big deal. You just put it in, but 25, 30 years out, when the ports are being redeveloped, they're going to start developing these plans, and they see this as a single line. Oh, it's not a big deal. But in actuality, when they go out in the field and start digging this up, these duct banks are, some of them are up to 6 feet wide by 10 feet deep. And they're concrete encased. It's a major change order. So that's kind of my past experience was like, hey, let's avoid some of the risk when we go into construction, and let's find out where our utilities are. And not only that, let's find out who owns it. Because, we have 5-member cities, and the port doesn't own all of them. We have easements, and the different cities will own certain utilities. So it's just kind of nice to know what we have. So we reached out to a third-party consultant to do some field investigating. And we used the ASCE SU levels, which is the subsurface utility engineering, to go out there and identify it. And this sub-consultant gathered all our existing as-builts dating from however our data goes back. And they started compiling our base maps and finding out, okay, what lines up with our, with the as-built drawings and our utility base. And the ones that didn't line up or they didn't feel confident, they went out and actually would dig potholes. They would dig it up and physically verify it. And sometimes they would just do ground penetrating radar to locate these things. And this is kind of the end result of what we do. So we have a 3D pipe network of all our utilities in this area. But okay, grand and dandy, but as we're moving into the BIM environment and in the asset management world, we started thinking, okay, how can we marry the two together? Especially when it comes to aging infrastructure. A lot of these utilities are past their service life and need to be replaced, and we just need to keep all that information. And how are we going to deal with it and whatnot? So we said, well, there's got to be a way we can marry this information with our asset management software. And GIS is kind of the mothership, so to speak. A lot of the data houses in all these different programs are looking into GIS and then manipulating the data and viewing the data and whatnot. So I kind of figured out, there's got to be a way we can bring this into our SIM environment with, Civil 3D, Revit, InfraWorks and whatnot. So we kind of use this as a pilot program. And with the help of ATG, I think we've been pretty successful. I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to kind of walk through of how we actually added the asset management data physically to the pipe networks. So if you go in here, hit your properties. So this is kind of your typical pipe network in Civil 3D. Well, in an asset management world, you know, it's great information, of course, but it doesn't really tell us much. So we figured out that, you know, if you go up to manage, define property sets, is we can start developing data to add to this. I'll just kind of.
Let me say this while he's typing. Devon and I are not the PowerPoint type of people. We're not going to inundate you with boring slides. We're going to show you firsthand how it's going, what we're actually doing, our actual processes and workflows to get these things done. So there's nothing canned or very little canned information coming out of us.
Yeah, again, this is open format. Please, if you guys have any questions, don't wait to the end. Just go ahead and interrupt me. So we started thinking about, okay, what kind of information do we need as far as, you know, asset management, and, you know, thinking, okay, you know, 20 years down the road, if someone needs to access the data, what do you typically want? So we come in here and we can start adding any information we want. So we can add as-built numbers, asset IDs, owner. I'm just going to go through a couple. I won't much. We'll do definitely a SU level. That's very important. And then just add a couple more. Utility type. Don't mind my spelling. Okay, and then you can start adding defaults to these. So we'll start with an electrical line. We're going to do slip, electric, asset ID will just be as-built.
What does SL IP mean, Devon?
Yeah. So when you're doing this, you got to think, if you're going to be uploading your data to GIS, you got to start thinking in GIS terms. GIS doesn't like dashes, like underscores. This asset ID stems from our particular asset program. So when we use the asset program, everything's used by this asset ID, identified rather. So we'll start developing these. So owner, we'll just say San Diego Unified Port District. SU level, we'll just say B. Utility type, electric. Material, we'll just say a 4-inch PVC. Okay, so I'm just kind of setting defaults. Okay, and that's set. Now I have a property set that I can start attaching information to. And when you start developing or adding stuff, is in order to make everything talk with the asset management programs, we have to use that asset ID. And how we develop that is, I'll just kind of go through setting up a new pipe network. I'll just call this test electrical. Don't really have a surface. I'll hit OK. And this is how we start building. So what we start is you go into the asset management program and you find out, okay, what is the next asset ID? That's where this comes in. So how we label ours is this is basically the area within the 34 miles. We have, you know, 9 different districts, and this kind of, the SLIP is one of them. Let's say this is electric. It's going to be a utility, and then E, and then the next number is auto-generated by AutoCAD. So we go into the asset management or GIS, and we go through and say, okay, you know, the last number is, we have 100 units already that is an asset that's tracked. So I'm going to start this at 101. And then for structures, we kind of label them the same. This will be the kind of your planning district, electric, structure, and I'm going to say manhole, and then next number. And again, we had 102 already tracked assets, so our next level will be 103. And then I can just start building my network, and it'll automatically track those. So I'll just throw some lines. If you go into the structure, kind of properties, you should start seeing, next counter didn't, I screwed up somewhere, but that counter would start at 101, whatever I told it to. So now we want to attach that asset data to it, to each of the utilities. So I would type in, property data, and edit. I'm going to hit select pretty much everything. I'll just do a few here for the sake of argument. And then I'm going to click that asset property set that I just created. It's going to add everything in there and hit OK. Now when I click on here, go to properties, extended data, all that information is now added. And then when I go back to when I created, I would go to the next level. So I know this was 101. And then you just go each up, and you have to continue this step pretty much throughout. Then you go back to your property side. That's to say I wanted to, now I'm going to do a sewer. So I can change this to storm sewer, just say sewer.
Question for you.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, the property sets there, do you go in and just have one property set, or would you have a property set for each type of utility? So one for water, one for sewer, one for electrical, one for comms?
No, you can do one. That's what I'm kind of showing you. See how I'm changing the defaults now?
Yep.
Let's say this is City of San Diego. Let's say it's a well, and this is a sewer. So I'm changing all this, and let's say it's a different project. Hit OK. Now I'm changing the property set that I developed. However, it doesn't change it when you already established in another utility.
Yeah.
So I can go ahead and change his data.
So you can have multiple property sets and apply multiple to a single entity.
Yep.
So if you did have them set up for different types of utilities, you can select which ones you want to use. Yep. Or you can go to Devon's way and change the defaults as you're setting up each and every entity that you're using.
Cool.
But I think one thing that when you're setting these up, and go back in there, Devon, please. One thing you want to do is the three tabs at the top, it says general applies to a definition, and the applies to.
Oh yeah, you can hit select all.
Select all. So that way you make sure that some entities will not accept the natively accept the data. But if you do the select all, then everything that Civil 3D, AutoCAD, all entity types will be able to accept this property data. Cool.
Cool. Yep, that's good. Yeah, thanks. Yep.
So yeah, you see how I'm updating the defaults to go to a sewer utility, but it didn't update the electrical data that I just did. It will, however, if you add any criteria. So if I want to come in here and add, let's say, construction date, that will auto-populate to everything that data set was assigned to. You can see it added it right here, but it didn't add the defaults that I changed. So if I want to add the back to property data, edit, and I would just select the entities of the sewer. I'm going to select that asset or property set. And then when I go into properties, it has set the default. And I can just manipulate it. So I know this is asset ID was, let's say this is the first time it's ever been constructed. So I'll just update it. So it's nice to know if you ever change the defaults and property sets, it will not change whatever you already had set. So that's how now when we transfer it over to from Civil 3D to GIS, it will transfer this extended data, the property sets with it. You kind of want to keep these small because where it says the SD, San Diego Unified Port to Asset Data, it does bring that over. So it'll attach this, SD, PD, asset data, as-built number into the GIS database. So you kind of want to keep those small. And so that's how we, added any kind of asset information that we wanted directly to the pipe network. And then I'll pass it off to Victor, who will talk about how to get it from Civil 3D to GIS.
All right. Well, before we make that switch, anybody got any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, anything so far?
So just you're applying this to using pipes. If you create a trench, obviously you would use a subassembly and you would compose it from some assembly. So you should be able to then attach that data via a corridor using a subassembly.
So it's linked to actual entities within your drawing.
Okay. Yep.
So when you attach that property set data, if you can right click on it and hit properties on it, then you can attach this data to it.
All right, you've answered the question. That's perfect.
Here's a block. Right now, this doesn't have anything attached to it.
Yep.
You just hit property data, edit, select. You can create multiple property sets. You just pick the ones you want, or you can add how many ever you want.
Yep.
And that it will also add it to it.
Cool.
Quick shortcut to that is if you go into your properties, Devon, select one of the things and something new. Yeah, there, properties, go to extended data, just right there in the bottom left-hand corner, you click that, add property sets.
Yeah.
Boom, bang, done.
You could even streamline that and have a Dynamo script that actually has it in Dynamo Player for whatever service you want. You just press a button and off you go and run it.
So I'm hella lazy. So I'll select all properties and change it and just apply it to everything.
Yeah. No, that's good. Thank you.
And then just sort them as I go through.
Yeah, I find it easy when you're developing, several different utility types is just change the default and then select all your, that. So just display your storm drain or just display your electrical and then just kind of add the defaults to it. And then you can go in individually and revise the data to however you want. It's like, especially with the asset ID numbers or whatever. So, any other questions before Victor takes over how to migrate this stuff to GIS? Yep. All right, Victor, it's all yours.
Let's go here. There's a lot of stuff open there. All right. Let's close that. I don't even need that open. This is my screen. All right. So I've created a couple more lines in there based on what Devon's got going on. And I want to send this stuff to GIS, right? So what do I do? It's a function of output. And so go output, and we want to publish this to GIS. You're going to have to work with your GIS department to set up all this. We had a hard time. Our GIS department was not very Civil 3D friendly. So working with them, getting specific rights assigned, making sure that we're not burning through all their credit and all that. We finally found a comfortable medium to where we can actually publish our stuff to GIS and be able to share it amongst ourselves, and in the future share it out to the general public. So one of the functions that we want to do is be able for instead of getting the FISA request, you know, the request for information, it takes up so much of our time because we're a government agency. We wanted to make a lot of these things searchable by John Q. Public. And so part of that is to have a GIS application that's pointing public side, and they can look up information on themselves as opposed to putting in a request. You know, and that's also in keeping with transparency and all those other good, feel good, fuzzy, soft things that we want to do out there. So going with this, I go publish to ArcGIS. This is our arcgis.com. I want to connect it. I'm already logged in to my GIS, but it's just because ease of use. I unchecked everything because I only want to check a few things into GIS. So I go down, pick from drawing, and all you have to do is pick something from that network. You don't have to pick all the entities on that network because it's based on networks. So we'll say, oh, you want that network. Okay, yeah, we'll pick up that network, and where are they at? Scroll down. We've got a lot of networks, and I just do not want to transfer all that data all the way across. So we've got 3, 4, and 6. Okay, I'm good with that. Say okay. GIS wants to find that area of interest or that working area, because if you don't give it that, it's global. And so it picks out the area that encompasses what we're doing automatically. So that's the easy part. One thing that was beating us down horribly is there's something within GIS that does not like the shape thing right here. So we have to uncheck it. Does anybody even know why that is? Our GIS guy says there's a shape parameter within GIS that can't be overwrote or something like that. It's beating me down.
Hey, this is Tom. I'm actually a GIS guy that works for an engineering firm. That's why I'm looking at this, and I can confirm that there's automatically everything that gets built in GIS has a shape field already there, and you're not gonna be able to override it. So that your guy was right. I can confer.
Oh, he let me know that he was right. You GIS guys are pretty good about that.
Well, we like to stick together, right?
I'm all for it, and I appreciate you guys. But give us a little slack. We can set coordinate systems too, right?
Oh yeah, you can. There's a lot of you that are better at that than I am. So I'm not going to worry about that at all. I just like to make pretty maps. Let's be honest. So.
So were any of you guys at the Autodesk University
Victor,
Yes. Bill?
So Samir asked via chat, does property sets get published to ArcGIS via this command?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
All this stuff here.
Well, what's not shown is the property sets that's showing the asset information that I showed.
That.
Yes, once we get it transferred to GIS, Victor will show you. But yes, it does transfer over.
It goes across. Give me a sec. You're getting all ahead of me. Okay. So, and thank you for letting me know about the shape thing. Maybe in the future we'll give it a different category. I don't know. My GIS guy says that I don't do pretty enough maps, mine is just too down and dirty and just want the information in there. He wants to set up rules for how everything displays and comes in. I'm like, yeah, we'll get to that. But we go from this step, make sure you uncheck the shape, go to next. GIS does not like dashes. So if there's a dash in the name of your drawing or the name of anything, it will not accept it. So don't do dashes, okay, people? it wants to have tags, so we'll give it a tag util. Util test, we're good with that. Little Port of San Diego, we like that. And the advanced settings right here is where we share it with whoever that we're sharing it with. Right now, I'm not sharing it with everybody in the public because it's not for public consumption as of. But if I want Devon to look in on it or our GIS guy, I want to share it to San Diego Unified Port, and that's just internal. And then if we have other groups set up, but I'm not on that account right now. Then we go to the next.
Hey, wait, if you don't mind, I got a question. If you go back, it doesn't, can you click to enable editing and turn that off if you just wanted to push the data out and just have it as a view only?
Yeah, I think right there where it says add, update, delete features, update feature, or just add type of, I think that's about the only.
Yes, I think that is the case. Okay. But I think to put it out to the general public, it takes credit.
No, it doesn't take credits. The only credits you would have would be for storage potentially, but you're not even storing it online. A regular map online doesn't take up any credits as long as, you know, depending on what kind of tools might be in the map, that might use some credits, but a general map that's out there, no, that actually doesn't take any credits at all.
Well, then our GIS guy is trying to scare us from doing things out.
The credits are scary. I'm not going to lie, you know, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do that does not involve credits. And just hosting a map online does not take up any, I say it doesn't take up any, it takes up minuscule amounts because it's basically storage. That's
okay. It. Yeah. Well, again, he doesn't even like the maps that I do. Because they're not pretty enough for him.
But, no, I can see that. No, and in that vein, I guess I will say to jump ahead there and agree, once you put it online, you would be able to turn off the editing capabilities. I was just curious if that was a button you could click in this instance as you were pushing it out. So yeah, some of that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
No worries. And so I'm going to push it out to my content and publish the bad boy. And so this actually runs pretty quickly since I've gotten just I didn't do all the utilities here. And as I said that, it says, oh no, we're going to drag F. Oh, come on. There we go. And really simple, view in ArcGIS. It pops open a browser. Signs me in, opens a map, and boom, we're in there, got my stuff. I click on a utility, and in answer to your question, here's all the property data. Questions so far? No? Epic. And everything, so we've got structures, concentric structure, 36-inch PVC, 36-inch PVC on the other side. This one has nothing. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, there it is. The data for each one. Got questions there. I'm not able to just go back and forth between the questions, so if you got something, just speak up. All right, people?
Just said thank you. Never knew about property sets going through.
Oh, you're very welcome. And
yeah,
so
we
once
discovered this just trial and error. We tried several different things and, you know, didn't go through, and then tried property sets and hallelujah, went through.
Yeah, it's been difficult to get extended data. In this day and age, everything is rich data. So you want to attach as much information to entities as possible, and property sets data has been a lifesaver in that respect. So So we've got our map, you know, and for the GIS guys, I could go in and use any of those different. If I wanted to sort it by location, and then since we're only doing one location, you know, I could do it like that and make a pretty map. But you know, que sera, sera. So now all of this stuff is in GIS. What if I'm on the other side in Civil 3D and I want to use some of that information? So I can come back to Civil 3D. I'm gonna do this quick. If I'm running too quick, you guys let me know. Slow down, Vic. Put the crack down or whatever, and let me know to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, the reason we want it in GIS is just for the search capabilities. You know, when a stakeholder comes in and says, "Hey, I want to know how many utilities in this particular area that the port maintains, but we don't own." You know, we can quickly go into GIS and determine that, where it's pretty difficult to do that in CAD. Or we want to know, hey, how many length of sewer line does the port own within this particular area? That's where, you know, information becomes really handy with GIS.
And that is a much better GIS function than it is a civil function. GIS was made for running those kind of queries and spitting back out that kind of information, as opposed to civil 3D or AutoCAD for that matter. If a person doesn't have a civil 3D application, or they're out of compliance, if like we're running 2021, if they're running 2018, they're not going to see any of our stuff, just because of lovely Autodesk. So I want to bring in some of that rich GIS data, and so to bring something in, we'll go to Insert, and the Autodesk Connector right there. It's like, so you click it, zooms out, as I was saying. It's horrible. So we go right here, use area selector, just real quick. My content, okay, this is what I just put out. This one, I think it was that one. Yeah, we can look at it right now. So we say we want the pipes, turn the pipes on. Gravity pipes is the type. Then structures, we'll just go for structures. So all that stuff is in there right now. We're like, cool. Down here, just gonna add it to my design project. Now, as opposed to going into all these things, you can actually go in and set up, like right here where your invert is, just where does it start?
Down, down, down.
There it is, start invert elevation. Where's my end elevate? Hey, right there, go through that. Say okay, it'll bring in that data. I did that wrong because I'm rushing. But you guys get the gist of it. And so here it is. I like to look at what I'm doing so I can see where everything is. Now here's the beauty of it. This is where we make this round trip. So we actually went out and got this thing surveyed, and we realized that this is not in the right place. So we know that it's right here at the corner of the building. And this one is over here in front of this building. And let's say this guy here is actually right here. And so we make those edits, and I'm making the edits real quick and easy, you know, just going on, just as Mr. Bob Ross would say, pretty little trees. We're done with that. And so we want to push that right back up to the GIS application. So we come back to the insert, data source manager. So our data source was the GIS database. We click into there. The data source, ArcGIS data, pipes and structures, tells us how many pipes we have, how many structures we have. And we say we want to save that back. And it's like, are you sure you want to save that back? We wouldn't go through all this unless we were sure about it, but it has to ask, right? We save it.
So Victor, another question.
Uh-huh.
Do the exported entities have to be live in the drawings, or can they be in an XREF?
As far as I know, and I could be wrong, I haven't tried it from an XREF, but I believe that they have to be XREF'd in because you're working right with it. I don't know. As far as I know. So we pushed it back up and it went really quickly, really easily. And you can save it back as many times as you want. So if we come back to our GIS map, and it refreshed automatically. So I've got my refresh rate set right there. As typical of me working with Devon, he'll say, Victor, you did that wrong. This goes over here. Go back to my insert, data source manager, save it back, continue. Close it, come back here. So we're being impatient. Let's hit the refresh button. And boom, changes right there. So that's how we can keep getting new Civil 3D data or updating our data, getting it pushed out to the GIS environment for others to share and query and all that, and keep everybody on the same sheet of music. Even if we don't have the latest drawing, we can pull it down from GIS, make edits to it, make improvements to it, and then push it back out. So there's less points of failure. So we can either do it from the Civil 3D drawing, or we can do it from the GIS database file. We're good with that, people?
So you're just dealing with a couple of pipe runs there. What happens if you've got, you know, large data sets? How long does it, have you had any experience with how long it's taking to save back and push that into GIS?
It's actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it has, there's not really that much of a lag. And even then I'm working from home.
Yep.
And we have to VPN to get to our network and all that. And the VPN speeds drop off to snail's pace.
Yep.
And it still has not been unreasonably arduous.
All right, cool.
It's if you do have a lot of information to share, I think with the GIS applications, you can do the website, the GIS maps and everything, and just make it very easily digestible to the public. That's a much better route than trying to stick somebody in the BIM 360, or even at worse, trying to figure out what PDFs to send to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Or any other thing you want to see? Go for it.
I was curious, the other tab that you actually push the data out online with, so the one right next to drawing 2, no, where you got the SVU PD _ prop set, and I'm not a CAD guy, like I said, I'm GIS, so basically your second tab down there next to start, right next to drawing 2 here, that's where you pulled this data at and sent it online originally.
Okay, so the published GIS.
No, your other open tab over here. So your mouse.
Okay, go to your other drawing, your first
there
drawing.
you go.
There we go.
That's
there we
what
go. Holy crap, I'm dead.
So what you did there, so that's obviously not updating this. How have you guys looked at, if you're making changes in the GIS, then do you then push that back to, you know, this, or do you start using a new drawing set like you did on the other one where you're just using the data that's tied to the GIS then?
It could go either way. So what I would do, since GIS doesn't particularly like being overwrote, I would go in, and it's going to be high level. It's either going to be myself or Devon. None of the other techs or anybody else is going to go in and change this data. But I would actually go in and get rid of or rename the previous one. And then send this up with the new common name.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, because as the, you know, it's a different data set of the same data, obviously. So that was kind of my question, and how you guys kind of managed that as you were making changes to stuff and making sure that you're on the correct stuff, you know, because it does get hard sometimes when we keep getting multiple data sets that are very similar. So, okay.
Right. Cool. And we're very new at this, and we wanted to demonstrate that this is possible, but there's a lot of limitations to it. There's we haven't discussed the horror stories and the sheer banging our head against the wall to get this far. We had a demo from from Autodesk, and the guy was like, boom, 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 this is how it's done, this is how it's done, this is how it's done. And like 75% of the stuff that he showed us did not work for us. So we, Devon and I had to go back and figure it out, ask people questions, just between civil people, GIS people, you know, people who have no clue as to putting the two together, what to do.
Yeah, a lot of it stems to what kind of admin rights your GIS administrator gives you as well. Being able to upload data initially, and then being able to save the data back once you imported the GIS data into Civil 3D. I don't know, kind of different settings or whatnot. And we came across that if you created a pipe network by a 3D feature line, you were able to upload it to GIS, but when you brought it back from GIS to Civil 3D and then revised it, it would not save back. We can't figure that one out.
Well, the structures will move, but the pipes will not.
Have you tried to do any of this with ArcGIS Pro, which is sort of a web-based desktop version of GIS?
Yeah, Victor, go back to your GIS site. So what it does, go back to your contents.
Yeah, exactly.
So it actually kicks out, when it goes from CAD to GIS, it kicks out 2 files, as you can see right here.
Yep,
The
okay.
file geodatabase. You can download that and open that with GIS Pro.
Actually, and also, if you knew, you could click the 3 dots over there next to the name on that feature layer. Not on the file geodatabase, but on the feature layer just above it. And yeah, right there, you can open that directly in ArcGIS Pro that way as well.
I would love to really get into doing all that, but I'm just a CAD dude.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because ArcGIS Pro, you were talking 3D, and that's part of the upgrade of the GIS side from desktop to Pro, is it really handles 3D rendering. I'm not going to say seamlessly, but it does really well. So since you were talking some of that 3D and that aspect, you could potentially run this stuff into that ArcGIS Pro to be able to do some of your 3D work there as well. If, you know, you had somebody or your GIS people could play with it, something like that. That was what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah. I would have to dig deeper into ArcGIS Pro. And that's not the top of my list yet. I have a feeling that it's going to have to be in the very near future. But I'm going to be stubborn and not do it as long as I possibly can, because I already have a long enough list. But
So I got two parts. Just to continue on from that last guy's question there. There's obviously two of you guys that are publishing to ArcGIS. Have you heard of anyone else working in multiple people? So different people are doing different elements and publishing that to ArcGIS. And is there any problems with multiple people publishing simultaneously to that?
have I heard of anybody else doing it? Not at all.
Right. Okay. And this, yeah, keep going.
Oh, and if you notice, this is my content, but I can go to my organization.
Yeah.
And this is everybody within the that's within the San Diego Unified Port District that's working in GIS.
Okay.
And we also have had groups, not in this one. So even if Devon put something out, I can get his data into one of my maps.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
Or if I am in here, I can come back and I can go to my organization, and everything throughout the organization, I can pull in data.
Okay. Cool. Right. Yeah.
So it's not just my stuff.
Okay. Cool.
And also, if you guys are looking, there's also publicly available data.
Yep.
If you know where to find it and all that, but I would leave that up. I leave that stuff up to the GIS guy.
Okay, cool.
he's
And my
much better at
second part is obviously you're going back and putting in all those utilities around that area that you had in Civil 3D. Are you performing clash detections on those if you're putting those in? And where are you putting if you are doing the clash detections, where are you doing the clash detections?
Devon?
Yeah, we haven't really dove into clash detection when it comes to utilities per se. A lot of that can stem from if you create an alignment, you can assign these utilities to automatically show up on the alignment, and then it would be you'd have to just kind of look at the profile or section views or whatnot to see if you have any. I'm taking like if you're designing a new utility within that area.
Well, yeah, if you go into Civil 3D, whoever had that Civil 3D open with all those services there, you can actually see you've got a whole bunch of crossing services.
Yeah.
Go to that top one there. So, like for instance, if you look at the orange line that you've got your cursor over, if you zoom in there, you've actually got the orange line, the green line, blue line, and a red line all crossing each other. Obviously, one's going to be higher or lower.
Correct.
If for instance you needed to go and do a repair of that orange line, you would have that as existing, but you would need to put in a new proposed. But that proposed would have to, have certain clearances around different. If it was electrical cable, like here in Australia, for instance, we'd have a certain clearance around the voltage of the cable, and exactly. So forth. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Right. And as this is going through, we have a consultant that's working to put all our utilities in, do the research and all that. And part of their QA, QC is to make sure that if there are anything that's out of spec, like if that electrical line is too close to the water line and everything, they're going to let us know about it, and to actually do the research and make sure everything is as it is.
Yep. Okay, cool. Oh, thanks for that.
And the clash detection isn't really that necessary, because if it's clashing, well, it's not clashing out in the field right now.
Yeah, I'm just talking if you've got, that car park, you need to extend that car park into that park, for instance, where that building is. You need to extend that, and then you want to put in, new structures and stuff like that. Obviously, you've got the existing, but if you need to then update with new proposed for, drainage for the extension of that car park, obviously you need to then start thinking about clashes between existing and proposed, assets, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Permanent.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm working on that sort of
that
stuff
data
now.
was just, we just had a 2D version of it.
Yep.
With this 3D pipe network definitely eliminates that risk a little bit.
Cool. Thanks for that. That's good.
Has anybody used InfraWorks?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you like with it? You want to come to the port?
Yeah, I can if you want.
So we use InfraWorks a lot for our visualizations, graphics, and all that. We're not using it as preliminary design because what we do here does not have a lot of function for preliminary design doing it. And if it's big enough and all that, then we have consultants doing it. But we, for those who are not aware of it, InfraWorks does have a GIS connector, and it works just almost identical to the Civil 3D one. It goes right back to the same type of map. My content, nope, not that one. This one. So pipelines and pipe connectors, turn that on. And keeping in mind that GIS is a live document, so our edits have been shown right there. And we just added to our design project.
And just to let everybody know, Victor is the king of InfraWorks. He's actually been told by Autodesk that he's doing things in InfraWorks it's not possible.
And I've actually kind of moved away from InfraWorks because I like other programs. One is Twinmotion. It's been really fun. But so actually, it looks like I brought this into this one before, so I can remove that one. Yeah, remove that one. My pipes aren't working right in InfraWorks for some reason, but to let you know that it's possible to have them in there. With the IEs. And somewhere along the line, I did not put in the right sumps and all that on these pipes, but just by way of demo, you can bring that into there, into your GIS data into InfraWorks for some great visualizations, videos, and actually use some of the InfraWorks functions to create drainage basins and all kinds of InfraWorks functions if you were so inclined to do that.
And if you needed to, you could bring in a Revit model straight into InfraWorks right now.
You can bring the Revit model straight into InfraWorks. And
it looks like you've got something over there anyway, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the native InfraWorks stuff, native InfraWorks stuff. But yeah,
that could have been a Revit model to start off with, yeah.
It may have been, but when you go to bring in anything into InfraWorks, you know, you got 3D models, which is Collada DAEs, your 3D Max files, your SketchUp files, and actually SketchUp has its own right down there, the SKPs, shape files, SDS rasters, point clouds. There's a lot of work that can be done in InfraWorks for point clouds. You can pick up your ground data and some your feature line data from the point clouds. If you've exported your Civil 3D to a land XML, or somebody from Inroads sent you something land XML, the DGN 3D models, Revit, IMX, Civil 3D stuff is awesome if this is going to work. So if you, because we can go on and on about InfraWorks for months on end, and all the different great, wonderful things you do. But you can bring in, as opposed to using your GIS, you can use your InfraWorks models. I mean, your Civil 3D models to bring in your pipes and pipe connectors, whatever you want. You can bring in Civil 3D surfaces, Civil 3D, just about any Civil 3D entity, I'm sure, except for pressure pipes, I'm not sure. So that being that, two drawings as overlays. And if you just drew something in 3D, did some 3D modeling in AutoCAD, you can actually bring in AutoCAD 3D models, which comes in as XREFs, so to say. It means if you edit the 3D model in AutoCAD, you come in and you can reload that model, and so it shows updates to it.
That's just something you just raised. Obviously, you're saying pressure pipes don't come in the InfraWorks. Do pressure pipes from that model, if you use a pressure pipe on that civil model to bring into ArcGIS, do pressure pipes come into ArcGIS?
I believe they don't.
They do not.
Right, Victor?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think pressure pipes come in yet.
There's a specific function that's within pressure pipes that nothing else likes except for Civil 3D.
Right, okay.
And so maybe 2022 or 23 or 25 we'll get that fixed.
Yeah, and another thing that I forgot to mention is when you're building these pipe networks, if you're not using a pressure network, every time you have a bend, it adds a structure. So we just call them null structures, but that will be uploaded to GIS. So people may think, oh, there's a manhole or pull box here, because it'll show up as a structure, but you just, click on it. If it says null, just be, oh, you'll just have to keep in mind that, oh, that's just an AutoCAD default. There's no structure that actually exists in the field.
Yeah, that's why I'm using pressure pipes, because I can put in the different types.
Nice.
Different types of bends, yeah.
Yep, and they have the T's, but yeah, it does not upload to GIS.
No, bugger.
So kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can't go one way, you need to go the other way.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks for that, guys. That's great.
So we've entertained you guys for about hour 15 minutes or so. What do you think?
That was great. Really good, guys. Really impressed.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I've definitely learned a lot here.
Our next project is to see if we can do the same thing with Revit models.
Yeah, well, I'm working on that right now, so yeah, we should keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Or maybe we'll let you present the next one.
There you go.
Yeah, we can. We can have a go at that sort of thing. So yeah,
So, since you mentioned starting to do something in Revit, I'm not a Revit guy at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm a civil guy. I started off in as a Kogo PC, then Sofdesk, then land development desktops, then Civil 3D.
Yeah. Well, I've got a job right now where everything except for the electrical has all been modeled. Oh, sorry, the underground electrical I've just modeled as a trench, as a corridor. But all the above ground electrical, so street lights, pillars, kiosks, are all done using a tie-in surface from Civil 3D into Revit. And then all the above ground stuff are all Revit elements, because I can actually model the elements better using the Revit families over trying to create a 3D block or the part builder inside of Civil 3D. So yeah, and then what I've done is I've just exported those out as IFC files so people can open those up in Navisworks for a collaboration type thing. But the next phase would be, which we're working on right now, is pushing that Revit stuff into ArcGIS.
Okay. Well, my last job that I had to do, and they told me it needed to be done in Revit, was our surveyor. We had a bridge inspector, and the bridge got we don't have as-built. We have no plans for the bridge. I think the last time we had it was from the 30s or 40s. Like the latest as-built were done. And significant construction had happened since those initial as-built had been done. So our surveyor went out and 3D scanned it. And then they said, well, that's not enough. So they plopped it on my desk and said, here, make a model from this 3D scan. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? And for some reason, the Trimble hardware that we use for the 3D scan does not like AutoCAD, so I couldn't, it wasn't finding any corners and edges and planes. So I couldn't use my AutoCAD or Civil 3D for that. And so I was forced to use Revit to create a 3D model of a bridge from a point cloud.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never done that before. And I'm not a Revit guy. And they gave me, it was like, oh, yeah, you got 2 weeks to get this done, too. So I got it done.
Oh, good.
And it was definitely a lessons learned project.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was interesting.
Yeah. Oh, no, thanks very much, guys. That was really good. And yeah, look, if you guys want to, collaborate on something or touch base and help out, you're more than welcome to drop me an email, and I can, try and help you out.
And Max, I was serious. If you want to present on the next user group, I'd be more than happy to have you.
Yeah, look, reach out to me, and let's have a bit of a discussion and see what sort of topics you want to go about and use. And I can some of the data, unfortunately, some of the data I can't show because I'm under NDA agreements. But yeah, let's take this offline, and
sure,
and we can talk about it.
Perfect. And
anybody else? Oh. No way. That better go away. You guys don't want to see all that. My eyes. Well, the family told me that I had to put on pants, so there's that.
So Tom jumped off, said it was a great presentation. Jorge jumped off, said it was a great presentation. So yeah, you guys did a good job. Once again, Victor, I always appreciate you presenting, and look forward to hosting the next one in 3 months.
Woohoo!
Yeah, hope we can do it live.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Knock on wood.
Because it's hot. It's hot here.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 100. It's supposed to be 117 Sunday.
I'll swim in the ocean for you, Bill, this weekend.
Please do, because my pool is already 85 degrees.
All right,
All
guys.
right.
Guys,
Thanks
for
very much.
attending. Any questions, feel free to reach out.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
And this
Talk to you soon.
has been recorded, so if you need the recording, just reach out to me and let me know.
Yeah,
I need
if you
the
wouldn't mind
recording.
sending it to me. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending it to me, that'd be great. This is Max from Sydney, Australia. So yeah.
I'll get it to you, Max. Thanks
Thanks
a lot.
very much, guys. Cheers.
All right,
All the best.
thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Enjoy. Bye.
Bye.